because it's now or never. With the way the world is, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Sara, thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you, Manav, for the honor. I'm happy to be here.
So for people that do not know who you are, could you please tell us a bit more about yourself?
Sure. I'm Sara Mush. I am an international henna artist. It is something that I have done pretty much all my life. Henna has been a big driving force in my life during everything high and low. And it's something I just rely on as a form of therapy, as a form of just passion. It's my biggest passion. Though currently it has taken a backseat, but we'll get onto that later.
How exciting. So before we get onto what you're doing now, let's go back in time to what were you doing at age 18? And normally people would be graduating from high school. Was that sort of the same with you?
Yes. So at the age of 18, I was going away to university in Loughborough to study art foundation. And even at that point, like henna had been a part of my life, but I was doing art foundation to kind of narrow down what exactly it is that I want to do, like as a career or a profession.
When did you have that eureka moment when you realized that henna was what exactly you wanted to do?
It's funny because I've had that at many different phases of my life, actually. So back in school, I used to go to an international school in Hong Kong, and we used to have these cultural international days. And each dynasty, each class basically had to do a stall, a booth of something. So my class would always be like, we're sorted. We have a henna artist and we're going to have a henna booth. So we would always end up making the most amount of money during that time because I would have a henna booth and people loved it. I was an amateur. I did not even know how to draw. I look back at those tattoos and I was like, why would anybody let me do this on their hands? But to them it was still something really exotic and like a cultural experience. And at that point they would tell me that you should totally do a business when you grow up. And it's funny, I won the youngest entrepreneur award in high school at our graduation ceremony, just because I used to just do all these things. But it was never something that I would thought I would actually turn into a career. Fast forward to university, I was working 6 different part-time jobs to fund my university. Like my parents were paying for my tuition and I had said, I will cover the rest. And I was doing like waitressing, tuitions. I was working at festivals, things like that. And literally my friends there would tell me, why don't you just start doing henna here? It's a huge market and, just see how it goes. So I actually started doing henna at our university's music festivals. And the first time I did that, I made more in one day, charging £5 for a tattoo, than I did in 3 weeks of 6 different jobs. So that was pretty insane. And the response was just amazing. And again, people were like, you should totally do this as a career. And I was like, nah, this is just something I love to do, like on the side. And so I continued doing that, at music festivals, at events in our university, things like that. And then I think the eureka moment again was when I graduated from university. I came back to Hong Kong. The market here was developing for, arts and crafts, and the local art scene was really at that time developing. There was a big market for handmade crafts. I came back. I started working my dream job. And alongside that, I got an opportunity to have a booth at one of Hong Kong's first ever handmade arts and craft fairs. And I had a little henna stall. I had nothing with me except for a few henna cones. And this is my most memorable part of my journey. And basically it started my career because I was at this booth from like 10 a.m. until about midday. I just sat there alone. Like nobody came to my booth. Nobody knew what I was doing. I couldn't speak Chinese. And so there was that barrier there as well. And then I was like, you know what? I've had enough. Like this, I got up, I went to the street and I like grabbed the first person who I thought could speak English and I told them, do you want something for free? And the word free, if you know, is a big catch for Hong Kongers.
Yeah.
And so these girls just came to my stall and they were like, oh, what are you doing? So I started doing a henna tattoo for them. And I actually have videos of this on my YouTube. Um, I started hennaing them, and before I knew it, there was a queue around the block for my stall. People had just crowded over. They just wanted to see what this was all about. And my God, they loved it. And I called up my parents at like 5 p.m. and I was like, you need to come here. I need help. There's a queue. I need more henna cones. Like, you need to come take some photos. This is awesome. So my whole family came to Central. This was happening in Soho. And
Okay.
and then literally it was a 2-day fair. That same night, my dad helped me come up with the name for the business, Sara's Henna. So original, but it was just it was what we could think of. We drew up the logo, which I just changed 2 years ago. So all this time I've had the same logo. And my
Wow.
dad helped me print out all the photos of the event. And the next day I rocked up at my booth and there was already a queue of people waiting. And
Wow.
oh my God, it was incredible. I must have hennaed, I don't know, over 1,000 people in those 2 days. And
Wow.
from there, I started getting inquiries for events, for corporate events, for parties, you name it. Like, it was amazing. Fast forward 6 months later, I was getting promoted at my job and I gave in my resignation and I said, I am going to take my business full time. And I never looked back. And for the next 15 years, yeah, that's what I've been doing.
I was really just trying to visualize all of that because that's just incredible. First of all, how you literally just in that one moment just went to the street. I felt like that was just your gut telling you that, you know what, I can't just hit here all day. It's either a now or never moment. And you just having to get those initial people to just come and, have a taste of this is what I am. This is who Sarah is about. And this is why my passion or doing henna it represents who I am and it makes me happy. And I think one thing I was going to ask is already what was that first client experience like? But you've pretty much answered the question, and let alone having to do over 1,000 hennas a day. Did you feel like between that day at the festival and then handing in that resignation letter 6 months later, how did you feel throughout that period? Like, did you feel like everything was happening really fast, or did you feel like a sense of imposter syndrome because you feel like, you're going through this time where you're trying to figure out, is this really what I want to do for the rest of my life? While, of course, having to pay the bills and, of course, pursue the career that you thought you wanted to do. So, how did you feel, or what was going through your mind?
So, things were going pretty fast. And basically, what was happening is I would be at work morning till 6 p.m., 5 p.m. I would leave work and I would go straight to a henna event. There were days when I wouldn't see my parents or my family like at a stretch because I would be at work in the morning, right to a henna event. And these were events like Dolce and Gabbana, Steve Madden. These were corporate events, HSBC. They were all sorts. And when I realized that Hong Kong has such a huge, huge demand for this right now, because it was something they had never seen before. And the best part was the destination weddings that came my way. So I
Yeah.
love to travel. Like, I lived to travel. And I was getting flown to all these exotic 5-star resorts, all paid, and I was getting paid for doing something that I absolutely love to do. So at that point, it was kind of like a no-brainer because, and especially with my parents, like, my dad was all for it. He was like, you know what? You're never going to get this chance again. Like, you're never going to be this young again. At that point in time, I didn't actually have bills to pay because I was still living with my parents. It literally just took me thinking that, you know what? If I don't do it now, when am I going to do it? Because if I take this promotion at work, it's just going to keep going from there. Right. And when I was really feeling fulfilled with the henna journey and how it was going, I just thought there's no need for me to, look for that contentment elsewhere. And actually the henna combined my love for art, for events, for traveling. And my biggest passion is just like meeting people, connecting with people. And it helped me connect with people across all cultures, because the best thing is henna, it doesn't know any language barriers, right? It's the art form and it speaks to everyone, regardless of their age, regardless of the culture, their background, anything like that. And so I was pretty confident when I gave in my resignation. I won't lie, the first few months were really like, from having that steady paycheck to like just not knowing where the next gig is coming from. That is, I think, the most intimidating factor about running your own business. And I think the fact that I was still young and I was able to do it and I didn't have that many responsibilities, it really helped in kind of boosting my confidence and creating that business base, so that I don't have to rely on anything else.
Wow, that's amazing. Things are clearly going great right now, and let's just say that you're into your henna career or journey in a few years now. I'm sure you probably encountered challenging moments. Could you tell us one that stands out to you?
There have been quite a few moments in my journey, because it's never a smooth sailing. And especially being a Muslim girl, in a typical like Muslim family, society plays a big role in what you choose to do in your life and what path you take in your life. And there were moments where I would have a really, really good opportunity, but I wouldn't be able to take it, things like that. But I think the biggest hurdle was when I got married, I had to move from Hong Kong and I moved to Pakistan. Now, Pakistan being the root of where henna comes from, you would think that, oh, that would be a really easy move. But I, for some reason, was really, really scared, because I was like, oh, I mean, from a very young age, I was told that, okay, henna is your passion, it's your hobby, but once you get married, you're not going to be able to do this. And so that kind of stuck in my head, even though my husband is a huge henna fan. We had a pure arranged marriage, but literally his mom just told him that she's a henna artist. And he was like, done. Before he even met me, that's how much he loved henna. So I was lucky that I had a very, very supportive husband and very supportive in laws. But even then, when I moved from Hong Kong, I was at the cusp of my career. And I was like, I'm leaving all of this behind. It's going to be a new place. I don't know how I'm going to fit in or how my henna is going to fit in. And when I moved to Pakistan, henna took a back seat because I had my first kid, and I wanted to just focus on her. But then, and that at that point, I was going through postpartum depression, because I was like, I felt like I had lost my identity being the henna artist, the traveler. And I really felt like, what am I doing? Is this what everything had to come down to? But it's incredible just when you have faith and you have people who support you. I think things just come your way because they're meant to come your way. And here I was thinking, okay, I can't expand my henna business in Pakistan. And I would just get opportunities. And I would go for those opportunities because I had that support system. And before I knew it, it was Sara's Henna became like the brand for henna in Pakistan. And I had not envisioned it. I had not planned for it. I definitely didn't have the resources for it, but it just happened. And these opportunities would come my way and I would go for them. And, the good things just came my way. And I'm just very blessed and very, very grateful. That transition period was the very challenging part. But then realizing that you can actually rebrand yourself and then having to create that entire thing all over again, almost from scratch, it's it's quite hard. And now I've had to do that like 3 4 times, and it's always a challenge, but now it's a challenge that I actually take on like full on. And just know that something really amazing is going to come out of this.
Your story now makes me want to understand your point of view if you believe that everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
What makes you say that? Do you feel like is it because of those those hurdles you went through when you moved to Pakistan?
Actually, it's funny because back in the day, I would associate moving to Pakistan as a challenge or as a hurdle. Now, when I look back, it was actually the biggest blessing in disguise. It was the best thing that ever happened to me in my career, in my personal life. And I think I truly believe that it was the best decision that we made to move back there, because not only was I able to bring this art back to the original roots and shape the henna community in Pakistan,
Yeah.
creating a huge shift in the henna culture over there. And I'm actually very happy to say that, my brand played a huge pivotal role in bringing natural henna back to Pakistan, in bringing artists together in a collaborative communal way rather than having them at cutthroat kind of competitive industry with each other. We were able to create that community, that unified front as henna artists, and actually be able to speak up on behalf of artists who were being taken for granted, or who were, undercharging, things like that. And not just that, but I was able to do a lot of work that had a huge love for and a passion for. And I think I could have only done that in Pakistan, in my own home country, with my own language. One of the biggest projects and the bestest, most rewarding projects that I was able to do while I was in Pakistan was something called Mehendi Ke Taj. So it's providing cancer patients and kids going through cancer um, these beautiful, empowering experiences of creating henna crowns on their heads. And what started off as literally just wanting to do a henna crown on their head kind of turned into this huge event that we would host with like up to 40 people as a part of it, with different organizations, with different sponsors, and being able to give these kids a platform to really shine on and make them feel like they are loved, they are seen, just make them feel beautiful. I could not have done that here. I tried, but language being a big barrier, and the concept not being really understood here. This is something I was able to do in Pakistan, in Karachi. And it gives me so much pleasure to say that this whole concept is now being carried forward even when I'm not there. There are other artists who are now doing this with different hospitals. So things like that, I could have not done them in Hong Kong. And actually, I'm just so happy that I was able to do them in my home country. And so I don't look at moving back to Pakistan as a negative in any way whatsoever. I loved being there. I love being able to spread natural henna over there. And just as I said, I don't think any of this would have been possible without the right support. And I feel in this way, my journey has been very inspiring for other girls in Pakistan who come from who come from families that are quite old fashioned, or where girls are not really allowed to go out and work, or where henna is not looked as a respectable career option. They were able to have an example that yes, henna is actually a very respectable career option. It can allow you to travel, it can allow you to inspire others, it can allow you to do good, it can allow you to give back to your community. And there have been like hundreds of henna artists now from small communities who are working, who have their Instagram pages, who now have those platforms to really shine and share their art. So it makes me really happy that all of this was able to happen just by taking Sara's henna back to Pakistan. I think, yeah, I think it was a huge change and challenge to start off with, but it was literally the biggest blessing in disguise for me and my brand.
You are an inspiration.
Sorry, I go off on a tangent. You get me to start talking about henna, you can't get me to stop.
No, but that's really incredible. It's just so nice to hear. Like, I'm just trying to visualize everything. Of course, I was not there at that time. And, it's just amazing to see how far you've come from that moment, and let alone just explain how you can really turn challenges into solutions that work so well in your favor. So I'm really glad to hear that you use that as a way to build your personal brand and just use that as a way to inspire and encourage others to go after their dreams, if not with your henna passion, and share it with them and really
Mhm.
show them what henna is about. So really incredible.
Thank you.
So fast forward, let's go to 2020. It's around COVID time. As a henna artist, were you still living in Pakistan? And
Mhm.
what were you doing if so?
Yes, I was still in Pakistan, and I'm so glad I was in Pakistan and not in Hong Kong at that time, because I was one of the first people in the family to get COVID,
Oh,
and it
okay.
was really bad. It was like in February it came around, and in March I was down and out of the picture for like 14 days in quarantine. Nobody knew like what was happening. It was really funny actually. But actually COVID in Pakistan was very interesting because people weren't really cautious. So we were barely wearing masks. Like nobody wanted to wear a mask. Nobody actually thought COVID was even a thing. And kind of things went around as per normal. We did
Okay.
have a few parts where we had a lockdown, like a proper lockdown. But in fact, it was in COVID that I opened my first actual physical studio space with my mom. It was her lifelong dream to open a salon. And we were planning this, but nothing was coming to life. And then in COVID, because other things had stopped, like schools had stopped, but other things were still carrying on, and we found ourselves with a lot of time on our hands. So it was actually in COVID that we opened and launched our own studio and our own salon. And so while the world was battling with lockdowns and with a lot of restrictions, we were kind of just doing our own thing. And
Wow.
it was, yeah, it was it was quite a journey and quite an experience as well, because I would speak to my friends in Hong Kong and in UK and in the US, and they were just like, oh, we're going into depression and things have changed and this and that. But in Pakistan we were still able to travel. I think the only way the market really changed is that people no longer were having those big lavish weddings, and they had made them smaller, but they were still going on. So in terms of business, things just went a little quieter, but I wouldn't say anything died down completely. I'm actually very grateful that I was in Pakistan during COVID.
No,
Yeah.
that definitely makes the whole everything happens for a reason a lot less stressful in that sense because you actually had it easier and it worked out in your favor, actually.
Yeah, that's why I completely and utterly believe, like, my life's motto is everything happens for a reason. From the barista I meet at like my coffee place to someone I have a chat with in the bus, like everything has a place in your life and everyone comes in your life for a reason. If something is not working in your favor, it's because it's not meant for you. That doesn't mean you give up. That just means you change your direction a little bit and there's something better waiting for you. I have absolutely believed in this all my life, and it's it's always been that way. So I think I'm grateful and touch wood, just lucky that things do work out. Yeah.
Awesome. So luckily we've now recovered from COVID-19 and fast forward, what are you up to nowadays? Now I know a bit we've already spoken about this in terms of what you're up to, but for others, and you did mention that you wanted to come back at the start when you said that we're going to come to this now. So yeah, what are you up to nowadays?
So now basically I moved out of Hong Kong 10 years ago when I got married. I am now back in Hong Kong as of a year ago. I moved back with my two kids, and my husband has recently just joined me as well. Coming back to Hong Kong as a mom of two, leaving here, I left with no responsibilities, no bills, nothing. Just me, solopreneur, traveling, enjoying, living my best life. I came back here with a lot of responsibilities, with bills to pay, with just wanting to start all over again, but with two kids this time. And we all know Hong Kong is not a cheap place to live in. So when I moved back, I knew that I kind of had to pause on the henna a little bit and find a full time job because the market that I left is not the same market that Hong Kong is right now. Right now, I'm working in a full time job as operations manager for a wellness and hypnotherapy center. And I love it. It's actually been very, very interesting. And it just reiterates that I'm supposed to be here right now because what I'm learning in terms of personal development is so much more than anything I could have been doing in any other job, which is just really incredible and makes me feel really thankful. And I am doing my henna on the side. It's not my full time business at the moment, but I'm still taking on projects. Like I recently just did a project with Coke Studio. I don't know if you're aware of Coke Studio. Have you ever heard their songs?
Not really.
Oh my God. Search Coke Studio.
Okay, I'll do it
It's
right after this.
A Pakistani music group, right? Started off very small. It's now become known worldwide, globally. The songs hit like YouTube top tens. And so my henna was recently featured in their music video in season 15. So projects like that are still just going, which is just incredible because it
Wow.
allows me to still be creative and do my henna on the side while working, full time. So yeah, that's where I am right now, just juggling work and the business on the side and doing a bit of social media consulting here and there and living life as a full-time mom, entrepreneur, and a working woman. So
Wow.
it's pretty fun, pretty challenging, but it's going well.
You're all over the place.
I am.
At the best way possible, of course. No, that's great. I mean, I love being busy as well, and I can see that you are really, really busy, but you're enjoying it, and that's all that matters.
That's true. It's true. If I don't enjoy it, I will not do it.
Oh, for sure. So we have one last question, and I think the last question is looking back, when you made that decision that you wanted to pursue henna full time, what would you say to your, let's say, 18-year-old self who's about to step into university, and also to people who are looking to maybe go into that sort of position but don't know how to make that transition in terms of pursuing their hobbies, other interests, or finding a way to balance their full-time job and also balancing their hobbies?
I think, well, what I always do say to people is you should really just do what makes you happy. And it can be very scary. It can be very, very challenging, especially if it's something that requires you to invest money. I was lucky that I never had to invest a big lump sum of money, but if you're a product based business, it's something that you would need to do. But I would just say have faith in yourself and in your abilities and in your skill and just take that leap of faith because it's now or never. With the way the world is, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know if all the savings in the world are going to still be there tomorrow, you know? So if there's something that you love to do, you're passionate about, just go for it. Honestly, it sounds easier, uh, but easier said than done, but it just boils down to that fact you need to believe in yourself and no one else will. You have to do it. And once you do, you will face those people who will say, no, no, you can't do it. You can't do it. Just ignore them. It's just block them out as white noise and just keep going and believe in yourself. That's it.
Thank you, Sarah. That was great. Really good stuff. And for people who want to get in touch with you, what would be the best way for them to do that?
Just my Instagram, Sarah's Henna, SARASHENNA. It is the easiest and the fastest way to get in touch with me.
Amazing. And for those who are watching right now, make sure to like and subscribe. A new podcast guest and an episode will be out soon. Thank you, Sarah, once again for joining us here today, and take care.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Bye.